All right, here we are with the roadside rescue. We've got this Astro van we're working on. We're going to replace the radiator hoses, and we'll talk a little bit more about what's going on when we get in there. But this one's kind of been interesting little job here, but we're finally to the part where we're fixing it, not just diagnosing. All right, so we'll pop the hood. It's actually sprinkling out here. It hardly ever rains out here, but it's sprinkling right now. Get this open. We'll make sure it's a little warm still, but it's been about an hour and a half since it's been sitting, so it should be fine. We'll push on the hose here. Yeah, and it's not tight. They'll have 16 PSI on them when the system's full, and I could squeeze that hose. But again, it's warm, but it's not going to explode. When it's under pressure, it can explode on you. We're going to do these coolant hoses. Let's come over here and take a look. So you can see right here, there's quite a bit of coolant all around on the ground, and on the ground on the frame and everything there. It's actually coming out from around this hose here, and possibly, the problem was it was possibly coming out from around this fitting, even though that's a automatic transmission fluid cooler. But the fact is that it's clean up above that hose, so it's either spraying up or it's flowing down. It may be this fitting, but at this point we're not sure, so we're gonna have to take this hose off and check. That being said, I'm gonna have to drain the system. So that being said, we're gonna go ahead and replace both radiator hoses just in case that's what the customer wants to do. And unless there's something real obvious when we get in there, but it's kind of might be a two-part job here, this being the cheapest. And then the second time the fluid will be nice and clean, we can recycle it, but this fluid's not very clean, so we're gonna dispose of this fluid this time. We'll put new fluid in it and new hoses, and then if we need to come back and replace the radiator, we'll recycle the fluid next time. But again, it's, you know, twice as much to replace the radiator, we figured, and the customer knows they may need to do both in the short term here either way. But we would start with these hoses since they're old, they're original to vehicle 98, and that, you know, is a cheap place to start. But again, they've got a lot of it's what's called witness marks on the hose there, where that hose clamp's really just pressed in over the years, so it could be leaking, but we'll check when we get in there. It's just hard to tell. The other interesting thing about this job is the fact that they use this van to camp quite a bit, and the one night he said he was sleeping in this winter with the van running and the heater blowing, and he woke up and there was a bunch of smoke outside. And so he said then the blower motor started making a loud noise, you know, the kind of noise that a fan motor makes when it's going out, and then eventually it stopped working. So he wanted me to look at that. I ended up finding a fuse right in here. This one, it's that newer green one that was burned out. The fan's still making that noise, but the fuse was burned out as well. So the fan's still going, and it's right here. So we'll see if we can replace that for him here. Looks like it might be pretty accessible behind this washer fluid and coolant reservoir. So we're gonna double check that, but we're gonna get a few things out of the way here. It's sprinkling on us, and that was interesting as well. So we'll probably replace that blower motor, and we'll do a test to it as well. I'll put some power on it and just listen to it and double check it's this one up front, because there's one in the rear as well. All right, got my special hose clamp pliers here. So basically you just pull the handle here, and on the end there it clamps onto those hose clamps. So we'll put those down there on that lower hose. I'm gonna drain it from there because I don't see a petcock that's obvious. So these are getting pretty old. Okay, I've got that draining there, so I don't need to get to that within a few moments. That's fine to drain out real slow for the best chance of not creating a mess here in this parking lot. And we'll get this top hose off first. The sweet taste of antifreeze. Alright, well I always like to reposition these clamps, and I like the spring kind, some people don't, but I always like to reposition them, and the easiest way to remove them in the future, especially when I'm putting on a new hose, because when they get real old like those other ones, let me show you, sometimes they get so worn in that you can't really reposition the hose clamp. They kind of have to go back in the same spot, but when you got a new one, you can put them wherever you want. I like to put them in the easiest possible arrangement so that they're easy to take off in the future. So okay, got that other side on. We'll put this intake back on. And basically, we just couldn't tell if it was that radiator or that hose leaking over there. Now we're going to pressure test the system again, and we may end up doing a radiator, but this may be fine. Like I said, we just started with the hose because that was the cheapest thing to start with, and we knew that there was a chance they'd have to do both. So we'll do this bottom one and we'll be done. But that's coolant's all done draining out now. Alright, it's still sprinkling pretty good, and I just hooked up a labor guide. Apparently you can do this blower motor from just right here, so we're going to go ahead and take out these reservoirs and we should be able to get right to that blower motor. This really doesn't matter anyways, not doing anything. Slide that out of the way there, and we should have plenty of room to get that blower motor here. Alright, now this is very interesting. You can read those words there. It says cut between ribs for blower motor service. So rather than remove all this plastic, they expect you to just cut between here. This stuff's real brittle, so I think I could just poke it with a screwdriver and pop it out, but that's what we're gonna do. We'll service it like that by cutting through those ribs. Alright, now you can see probably that's what I call rust dust in there, rust dust. Just that old nasty brown dust, rusty stuff. That comes out of these brushed motors, these old brushed motors. What they say is these old motors especially, they run on smoke. It's kind of a joke that when you let the smoke out, then you know you're broken it. So everything runs on smoke, and once you let the smoke out, then it's no good. And this one obviously let the smoke out, according to the story where it was smoking one night. And I didn't expect it to be good after that, but with that fuse, we were just testing. And this is interesting. Probably fairly common. However, I've never done a blower motor with a little cutout like this, where you just cut it out. I expect you to cut it out to replace it, but pretty cool and pretty quick to get to, so I like it. These are real small. I tried one with a 6mm, it felt too small. That's the 6, so it's probably a 5.5. Let's see, just right, 5.5 there. Yeah, we've got one of those actually on the other side of this rubber that was holding it in. I didn't see that first, so we'll get that off, and then we'll get this rubber shield off, and obviously it's not going to go back on afterwards. So there's that. You can just see how small the head of that screw is. Alright, now I was just going through right here, and that cut pretty clean, and you can see there for blower, or cut between ribs for blower motor service. So real cool. Ew. 𝐿𝐸𝐵𝑒𝑠𝑎. Okay. Alright, so it should be that same size on this blower motor here. There's like 4 of these little doodads holding it in. We'll get those out real quick. Wrong way. That beats having to sit in there doing half turns the whole time. That's 2 on that motor. I think there might be just 3. One hiding up in the corner. It's the last one. Here's that old motor. Just like that. Comes out. Something like that. Let's get on out of there. Come on, boy. There we go. Doesn't sound good. Alright, this hose is full of leaves. So obviously some leaves got into this blower motor, probably what messed it up. So we'll put this new little drain tube in there. Like so. And now we will put this new blower motor in. So this new one goes in easier. Alright, lined up. Go back together. Last one here. Cool. That blower motor is replaced. We'll plug it back in. Alright, that connector I thought was giving me issues, but apparently the prongs inside of it were bent upwards just a little. I ended up bending them down and it went right in, so you can see it's connected well now. And we'll get that other lower hose done here. And that's the only thing left. Oh, we got to put this back. Boom, there you go. Alright, that's good enough. This done here real quick. We're pretty much done. Alright, now let's top this off. Yep, I'm filling it up with coolant. I'm done. Alright, that heater's blowing warm air now. We've got this topped off. That's a job well done. I'm Ernest. Thanks for watching the Roadside Rescue YouTube channel. We'll see you on the next episode.